What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. How you all doing today? Happy 24th anniversary to the Sega Dreamcast. This is actually going to be a Sega Dreamcast stream. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, Sega Dreamcast was released on September 9th, 1999. Pretty crazy, huh? So yeah, I hope you guys are doing good today. And we have a lot to talk about, as usual. Give me 1 second here. Let's see. Welcome to Garrus, Boston, Samus, Yaver, Tony, the Argonaut, Robin. Let's see what else. Bismarck, Steven, Wade, Shinigami, Jay Scotty. All you guys, welcome to the stream. Yeah, if you haven't already, please do hit the like button for me. We want to get as many likes as possible on the stream. A lot of exciting information to talk about today with Switch 2. And it's going to be a pretty cool stream. So yeah, make sure you support any way you can. If you do want to donate, I have a donate link in the pinned comment at the top. Right now I have super chats disabled. Long story, I'm not going to get into it, but yeah, very cool stuff. Let me increase some volume here a little bit. But yeah, we have a very exciting stream here today. As you know, I don't do these very often, but when we do, we always have something really cool to talk about. So yeah, the Switch 2 is a super hot topic right now. We have a lot of rumors and leaks and information to talk about, patents even. I'm going to talk about a new patent that looks like it's probably very likely. It's going to be, Nintendo's going to use it. So, yeah. And in regards to how we're going to do this for like Q&A, we usually do it at the end of the, towards the end of the stream because I have a lot to cover. So, I'm going to be showing you visual examples on the screen. I'm going to be talking about these articles. I have some very interesting things to show you in terms of like upscaling techniques and things like that. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, Sega Dreamcast came out today, 24 years ago, if you can believe that, in the United States. Pretty cool. All right, so yeah, Astro's off the chain, AB James. Yeah, welcome everybody. So yeah, let's talk about this stuff a little bit. I'm gonna go over the articles and we'll show them here on the screen. But basically, yeah, as we've been talking about for months and months now, Nintendo has been very quiet about their next gen plans, but not really at the same time, because they've been talking about what's next a lot in like their investors meetings and things like that. So it's been kind of like they've been hinting at the next change for Nintendo for quite a while now, and we've been talking about their next hardware for seems like forever, right? But it's at this point we're at the precipice of them revealing it and showing it and having given us a release date, price, and all that good stuff very, very soon. It could be even this year that they reveal it. If they're showing it to developers behind the scenes at Gamescom, and they're showing it, you know, in like tech demo format at this point, you got to think an announcement's pretty close. So, and the more that the longer Nintendo waits, the more chances of the entire thing being leaked to the public is going to happen. So like, it's in their best interest, in my opinion, to go ahead and reveal this console sooner rather than later. And as long as it's ready to show, right? As long as it's, you know, about time for it to be, you know, closer to release. They don't want to, of course, totally stop the sales for the current Switch, but they also don't want to let the entire console be leaked by someone who knows the information either. So yeah, they have a balancing game, juggling act to do here with the current Switch and the next Switch. However, I don't think at this point Nintendo can be too concerned about hurting sales of the current Switch, because sales are declining. And they're going to be having to focus on the next gen at some point, and they also don't want to let the current Switch drop to the point where it's dead. like the Wii was, pretty much. When they finally released the Wii U, people had already moved on to like the PS, like the Xbox 360, and they were looking forward to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. It was a terrible release plan they had for the Wii U. So yeah, they want to get the information out there, get it shown, get you to pre-order it, likely in early 2024. If pre-orders can go live then, maybe, and they reveal it maybe in a teaser trailer like they did with the Switch in 2016, and then have a big event in early 2024, also 2017 like they did with Switch. They can get people on board really quick and put their money down to reserve and purchase this thing. So yeah, either way, if it's revealed in like a 2-minute, 3-minute teaser trailer this year, and like, hey, look forward to more information in 2024, that's great. Get people excited, since everyone already knows about it at this point, pretty much, right? This information we're going to go over today has been talked about by every tech channel, including Linus Tech Tips. They covered this yesterday on their WAN podcast. So everyone in the tech industry knows about Switch 2 at this point. They know it's coming. They know it's coming soon. They have a little bit of an idea of probably possibly what's going on here with its graphical capability, which what we'll cover here as well. So we are right there, guys. We're so close, and we kind of had a feeling. We had a kind of a feeling of this earlier in 2024. And Blaster Linux, you're right. We're gonna go over the, some realistic expectations here. So, because I know people are going kind of crazy with like PlayStation 5, graphics or something, or performance. That's definitely not going to happen here. So we'll go over that though. That's not going to happen though with this. Just because something can run a demo doesn't necessarily mean it's the same performance. But yeah, we'll go over all that stuff when we talk about this. But yeah, it's great. I think it's great information though, because it's being corroborated by multiple different sites. You've got Eurogamer and VGC, two of the most trusted sites to share this type of information on the internet. It's not coming from some random 4chan poster. It's not coming from some guy on YouTube or Twitter who sometimes get things right and sometimes gets things wrong. There's lots of guys like that out there. It's not like that. This is more like a report of like information that has been kind of pretty much confirmed behind the scenes, that developers have seen a tech demo of what the Switch 2 is targeting. Okay, so here we go. I got all the information up ready for us here. Let's talk about this. So like I said, questions and answer will be towards the end, but we got a lot to cover first. It'll also give you an idea to think of other questions as well, because no doubt when we go over this information, you're gonna be thinking of even more questions to ask when at the end, because it's gonna be bringing up more interesting topics as we go. Okay. So yeah, welcome Bears, Adam, and Daniel, and Matt. Matt Does Gaming, aka Matt Steele. All right. So first of all, let's talk about the Eurogamer article first, because interestingly enough, this is different than the information at VGC. However, they corroborated together, and they, kind of like they agree with each other. They've heard the same kind of thing, right? So let's go ahead and discuss this. Eurogamer, I believe, was first. They may have been first, or it may have been right at the same time as VGC. I don't have the exact timestamp of when this was posted, but basically they both posted this on September 7th, 2023. Okay. So Nintendo demoed Switch 2 to developers at Gamescom ahead of a widely expected launch next year. And then this is by Tom Phillips. He also follows me on Twitter, so it's cool. But so basically, developer presentations for Switch 2 took place behind closed doors. Eurogamer understands, with partners shown tech demos of how well the system is designed to run. Okay, good. And one of the tech demos they talked about here in this article, it's almost like they discussed this behind the scenes or something. Hey, yeah, you guys can talk about this tech demo, and we'll talk about this tech demo. No, you never know. But one tech demo they showed was a souped-up version of Zelda Breath of the Wild, designed to hit Switch 2's beefier target specs. just a tech demo, not necessarily a full game release, right? So they talked about that, and then they brought out that Nintendo's yet to publicly discuss plans for Switch successor, though its new hardware was rather expected to launch some point in 2024. And then word that it is now being shown to external developers comes as details have begun to emerge around when we may see the system launch. A recent report pins Switch 2 arrival for later part of next year, with development kits now in the hands of some key partners. This chimed with what Eurogamer had also previously heard, though on timing, Tom says, I understand Nintendo is keen, like they want to. Nintendo's keen to launch the system sooner if possible. Okay? Now, this is interesting because I talked about this in a recent Switch 2 video that I did, that Nintendo, we had some information come out there recently, earlier this year, that parts and suppliers were targeting, and this is pretty much, leaked information, parts and suppliers were targeting a first half of 2024 release for the Switch 2, right? And then shortly thereafter, we got reports from VGC saying that the sources they heard think that the Switch 2 will arrive in the second half of 2024. Now, when we talked about this earlier this year, I said that, I'm more inclined to believe parts and suppliers because they have target dates to hit, like they have target manufacturing dates that Nintendo wants them to release, get the hardware out there and ready. So if they're saying first half of 2024, I was like leaning more towards, maybe they want to release this thing sooner rather than later. However, they don't know 100% if it's going to be first half of 2024 or second half of 2024. And the reason is because they may not know 100% how fast they can produce these consoles. You know what I'm saying? So it all depends on how fast Nintendo can get these parts and suppliers up to speed with what they need to build the console and, make it all fit and get it released. So this part I definitely agree with them saying that Nintendo is keen, or they would prefer to launch the system sooner if possible. And because why not? If it's ready sooner and the information's coming out now, you might as well get it out sooner rather than later and build up steam for the inevitable holiday push for 2024. So the sooner the better. I agree with that, and it also lines up with the information that the parts and suppliers were targeting for early 2024. A lot of people were like, oh no, if the rumor says it's second half of 2024, then those parts and suppliers are wrong. But I think people got the thinking a little backwards there. Just because someone hears something from hearsay from some developer somewhere, we don't know yet for sure, maybe second half of 2024, versus parts and suppliers saying, no, we're going to target first half of 2024. Hey, either way, I think it's obviously it's going to be coming next year. I said this before, I don't care as long as we get information about it and we get it out there, we get our hands on it, we'll be happy. So whether it's first half, second half, I don't think it matters too much at this point. I think it's coming either way, right? But it is interesting that he did add here in the article that Nintendo would want to release this console sooner rather than later, which I'm sure, we all would prefer it sooner rather than later, but next year, either way, it's not going to matter in the long term. Now, VGC also then chimed in, claiming sources, of course, right? Nintendo showed Switch 2 demos at Gamescom. The company is understood to have held private tech demos ahead of expected 2024 launch. Now this is where it gets really good because of what they showed. All right, so they corroborated with Eurogamer, saying that Breath of the Wild, running Breath of the Wild on any console is not that impressive with better settings. Welcome Dartho P and anyone else coming in as well. Stick around, but we're gonna be discussing this for a while and think of your questions, okay? Yeah, so running Breath of the Wild on any piece of hardware at this point is not that impressive. Like at okay, take care, Daniel. It's not that impressive because you have, it's outdated hardware, and we got lots of devices that can run games like Breath of the Wild emulated with Yuzu with better settings than the Switch. So that's not that impressive. You know, that's great that they showed it, you know, but what is impressive though is that, say, another VGC source claimed that Nintendo showcased Epic Games' impressive The Matrix Awakens Unreal 5 tech demo. Now we're talking, right? Now we're talking. So originally released to showcase the power of PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X in 2021, running on target specs for its next console. Yeah. So this is interesting too, running on target specs for its next console. So I don't think they were showing a demo running on actual Switch 2 hardware. And there's various reasons for that. And one of them is because if you're transporting a piece of hardware that's not released, that's under strict NDA, and you're Nintendo, chances are you're not going to be taking the actual hardware with you. You're going to be taking a target spec like mini PC with you, or like a little, like basically like a motherboard spec with a graphics card installed in like a box that has like a, you know, little piece of paper on it saying, you know, Switch 2 target spec hardware, and you'll take it with you. So if it does get stolen, the only thing that will happen, or if it does get lost, the only thing that will happen was the people who get it will just have basically a target spec PC that is not the intended hardware. So I don't think they were actually showing the actual hardware running this Unreal 5 tech demo, but they were showing probably a PC with that is running on target specs or target performance of what they could be doing or what they want to be doing with Switch 2, and say, hey, this is what our tests have been able to accomplish in our labs. Here's a tech demo running the Unreal Engine 5 tech demo for what we could be targeting here for Switch 2. Okay, so yeah, then they brought out the demo was said. There's hardly any information here on this part, which is interesting. So again, I would take this with not necessarily a grain of salt, but more so a grain of salt on the actual hardware they were using, because I don't think this was the actual hardware, guys. Target hardware is not the actual hardware. So the demo is said to have been running using NVIDIA's DLSS upscaling technology with advanced ray tracing enabled and visuals comparable to Sony's and Microsoft current gen consoles. And then it says, however, it should be noted that this does not mean the Switch successor will support raw power anywhere near that of PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X, which aren't portable devices. And then they talked about a little bit more here that, yeah, about DLSS. I'm sure you guys are aware of what DLSS is. It upscales your image, but it's definitely the best quality that you can possibly get in today's standards. It's far better than FSR. Like, I would love for the next Switch to have full-on DLSS, but the reality is that today everyone is using FSR. It's super easy to implement. Just put it in there, slap it in there, and it's the cheaper, lower quality version of a DLSS type of upscaling. So, but yeah, it doesn't sound like they're too sure about this part, and the reason why I say that is because they also talk about a patent that Nintendo's been working on for upscaling technology on their own that is not, I repeat, that is not DLSS, because guess what? DLSS is already patented technology. It's out in the open. In fact, developers can implement it in their games on PC if they want to, which, side story, they are not doing very much. Starfield doesn't have DLSS, so you have to mod it in yourself if you're a PC gamer. It comes with FSR. So it's kind of disappointing that not more developers are using DLSS in their games since it's the higher quality, but what can you do, right? So the patent, though, that Nintendo has been working on, we talked about this this year. We're going to talk about a couple patents. It's kind of cool information. But yeah, the patent that Nintendo's been working on, they've been working on this since 2020. They updated it back in 2023, earlier this year. which we also talked about in a stream we did earlier. So, and Nintendo's been developing their own AI upscaling with neural networks, which is basically like DLSS, which tells me that probably, yeah, but we'll get to that, Bears. There's a lot to discuss here. Guys got to have an open mind. And I'm not saying they're not going to use DLSS, but I'm saying here there's a lot going on here with what they're doing behind the scenes, and it's not so simple as just slapping in DLSS at this point, and I'll show you why. So basically, yeah, they're working on their own patent for neural networks for AI upscaling. We talked about this in detail, and it looks like it's pretty good, right? It looks like it's something similar to FSR or DLSS, right? So why would Nintendo want to be doing this if their console is an NVIDIA based system that can run DLSS? Why would they be doing this? And the short answer is, we don't know 100% why. Maybe there's custom things about their chip that they're using that doesn't allow for compatibility with DLSS very well, even though if it is developed by NVIDIA, you would think it is, right? Honestly, we don't know, okay? We can only speculate at this point, but there is some reasons I can think of. So yeah, this looks good, this patent that they're working on for their own AI upscaling. And obviously, too, you got to think of royalties with NVIDIA. If they have a blanket DLSS deal with NVIDIA to put it in their operating system, that's just more money that Nintendo has to pay to NVIDIA to have that like integrated in a custom way for their new console. So you got to think maybe money's involved here. Nintendo's more likely to want to use something that they want to target for their own console without having to use someone else's. Who knows? We don't know really. But it's cool that they're working on this. Plus, we have the information going out there that lately that they've been using FSR in their games right now on the current Switch. And as we know, Switch is not a system that can run DLSS anyway. It's a Maxwell-based chip, which came out in 2015, and there was no such thing as DLSS back then. However, FSR works on those processors. So yeah, Switch 2 can run FSR. Great. Or Switch 1 can run FSR. Obviously, Switch 2 will be able to run it as well, which I do expect that Nintendo will continue to allow developers will continue to use FSR 2 and probably FSR 3 on the Switch 2, because that will be what everyone's using for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. So it's one of those things where PC gamers are already not getting DLSS in their PC games currently that are these games that are designed for consoles like Starfield. So should we expect all Switch games, all Switch 2 games, if it's able to do DLSS, to have DLSS? No. I don't expect that at all, because we're not even getting it on PC at this point for a lot of these games. So the standard right now, as unfortunate as it is, I don't really like FSR. The standard though is FSR. The good news is though, FSR 3 does look a lot better. Here is a little example of FSR 3 that AMD released recently, and they're able to not only upscale the image, but they're also able to have a frame generation on FSR 3. So FSR 3 will increase your frame rates while also upscaling the image with quality that's similar to FSR 2. And they had this small little demo of it. They show it at Gamescom. But yeah, it's, you know what I mean? Like, this looks good, I guess, right? Well, we don't know. We won't know until we actually use it. But yeah, FSR 3 no doubt will be able to be used on the Switch 2, because this is open source. So yeah, I don't see why this wouldn't be on Switch 2, because developers can simply put it in. Also, NVIDIA is releasing not NVIDIA. AMD is releasing what was it? Their HyperRX version. It's like a suite of features. They're releasing it early 2024 for graphics cards that are older that can use frame generation as well. So frame generation, as we've been discussing, is the wave of the future for lower spec pieces of hardware like the Switch 2. It's because I'm going to say it right now. The Switch 2 specs are probably not going to blow your socks off. Okay, I know a lot of people have been, they use the clickbait term yesterday or last couple of days on their YouTube videos, PlayStation 5 performance or PlayStation 5 graphics. Yeah, it's not going to be that. So back in 2021, I played The Matrix Awakens on the PlayStation 5 on my second channel, and we'll get that playing here. And basically, it was a very impressive demonstration of Unreal Engine 5. Okay, and it was, the reason why it was so impressive wasn't necessarily because of like the model quality or of the models. Yeah, they look good, but it was more because of what they were doing with the engine to generate a world that was gigantic with like very minimal pop-in and like just like insane draw distances, right? But yeah, their faces look great and everything, but I don't really think gamers are necessarily that impressed by motion capture and faces. They've been doing great motion capture and faces ever since like PlayStation 3. Like, remember what was it, LA Noire? Fantastic motion capture. People look real back then. But like, this looks great, of course, but it's more about the world. Okay, this is actually me playing this in real time. This is a real-time demo, and it looks amazing, right? So according to their sources, Nintendo showed off a demo that was running this actual demo, and all in real time. This is not a cutscene. This is real-time graphics. Okay, yes, it's in cutscene format and how they're filming it, because you have to. Digital Foundry did a expose on this demo. Is that when there's camera cuts, there's like a frame stop. They have to like cut scenes. And because they're loading things on the fly, no doubt with SSD and all that kind of stuff. But it's going to require an SSD to run this, obviously, to run it better. But all the assets here, it's all running in real time. And when you do things that are up close, they're going to be able to pack in more detail. When you have LODs, level of detail in PC games, when you zoom out, things will automatically degrade as far as their detail is concerned because you don't see it on screen. So yes, this is actually running on the PlayStation 5. It was also running on the Xbox Series X, and it was also running on the Xbox Series S, the low-spec console. Digital Foundry said it was running it like at 720p, 30 frames per second. But again, it was a very unoptimized version of Unreal Engine 5 at that time. It was kind of like they're just getting it out there, showing what it could do. And this was back in 2021. Okay, so yeah, I'm playing this live right here. You see, like, I was actually playing this live with the controller, aiming it and everything. But yeah, what about the actual game world, right? So you can actually, after you complete this little part of the demo, the reason why this is so cool is because this is what was shown that the Switch 2 was targeting. Okay, that's why people are excited about this. So yeah, they showed the world and everything, what this engine can do with lighting. So you have Lumen, which is their lighting system that is kind of similar to like ray tracing, but it's like a little bit different. But Nanite, virtualized geometry. Like I said, I'm not a developer. I can't explain exactly how they make this work, but this is the cool thing. This is what makes this engine so cool, is that all this stuff, right? You see these cars and everything, all these things being rendered. This is all rendered in real time with the help of Nanite. So they're able to virtualize the geometry throughout this world, and it looks incredible, right? And another thing too, temporal super resolution. This is Epic's version of DLSS. So I've seen this also. This also looks pretty close to DLSS as well. This is possible on PlayStation 5 because they were using it on PlayStation 5. So this will also be possible on Switch 2 as well. There's all kinds of methods, guys, of AI upscaling that it's not just DLSS. So I would say the worst quality of upscaling is probably XESS, the Intel. Maybe it's in between FSR and Intel. XESX, those are probably the lower quality image upscaling that we have out there. But the cool thing is that when you actually go into the game world, so yeah, let me forward it a little bit here. When you actually run around in the game world, this demo, by the way, is no longer available on the PlayStation store, and you can't play it anymore. They kind of deactivated it. So I was lucky to play this. So when you run around in the game world in this game, in the demo, the reason why I was so impressed is because it continued to show everything rendered in front of you. It was like this is like the most impressive demo I've ever seen because of the generation of the objects on screen. There was no pop-in. There was no flickering of the graphics. Really, there was no like issues there. Everything was just there for you. It was incredible, man. And then you get into a car, you start driving around, trying to test out, like what the engine can do. And yeah, like all the NPCs were just like automated, the automated bots pretty much. They didn't have much of a brain or anything. But like driving through the city, this was so cool because like there's just everything's just there for you. The world is already there for you to be generated. It's so good, man. And yeah, like Metroid Prime 4, right? Imagine them using technology similar to this with the Metroid Prime 4. If the Switch 2 can run this demo, then you're good to go. You're good to go on what this system can do graphically. It's going to be extremely impressive. But yeah, you can see way down there. There's no, you don't see anything popping in. This is like the coolest thing. Like you look at all the details, and like wow, I don't see anything popping in down there. Yeah, it's a Matrix, so you drive through guys and everything. You can also fly on top of buildings. True, 8-bit monkey, very true. And yeah, Ridge Racer. But you see this, like all the models, all the geometry is just there for you guys. This is the wave of the future. So when I was talking about this demo back in 2021 on my second channel, I was telling the chat that this is why Nintendo needs to upgrade their console, because it allows for freedom of development for your game developers. Can you imagine the next Zelda game with technology like this in a fantasy setting? You have a vast city full of the Zora, right, or full of the Goron people, right? You have everything just there generated for you. You don't have to worry about things popping in front of you. You don't have to worry about all these hardware limitations. You just have the world there for you to play in. This is definitely the wave of the future, guys. It's awesome. Yeah. My second channel is in the link in my front page here. But yeah, I post like various other things on my second channel, like gameplay clips and highlights from streams and things like that. But yeah, check out my second channel. I got some cool stuff there too. But yeah. So even though it's using nanite, right, and it's procedurally generating these cars using some kind of mathematical algorithm basically on the fly, all the cars are different still. You see. So when you take and this is in a realistic setting here, if you take like a cartoony aspect, like AS Spilled, I don't know how you say your name, says here, if you take like a more stylized aspect and focus more on that, you can have game worlds that look absolutely incredible. This is just rendering basically New York City from the Matrix, right? and this looks mind-blowing to me, at least. But oh yeah, it definitely does. It's more so not because of the individual little details. It's more so of the amount of things on the screen that they can do without you noticing any degradation in detail. I was just having fun here, smashing into cars and stuff. But so yeah, so PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X were running this demo, I believe, at 1080p, and they were using Epic's temporal super resolution to do upscale to 4K at 30 frames per second. And the same applied to Xbox Series S, which was upscaling into like 1440p. So you're gonna say, well, how on earth is Nintendo gonna do this on a portable console? Well, I mean, to be honest with you guys, the things like the Steam Deck, they are actually old technology by this point. The Steam Deck is based on technology that was in development in 2020 and released in 2020, and they released that device in 2021. So by 2024, no doubt, by that point, something like this will be possible in a lower spec device. Yes, it'll be running in probably lower resolution, lower settings, but things like ray tracing, all those things are already possible in the Steam Deck. Even ray tracing. That's like just a portable PC. It's not actually like a really customized, like console that Nintendo will be making. So, and there's some really interesting techniques as well that they can do to make a lower resolution image look great on your 4K display. And I'm going to show you that in just a second here. Isn't the Steam Deck based on Microsoft Surface SoC? I don't think so. I don't think so. But yeah, I don't have the information in front of me. But yeah, I see you guys talking about F-Zero GX and stuff like that. We'll talk about that stuff. Save that for like the Q&A. We'll talk about that Nintendo Direct stuff as well. But yeah, this is super impressive. All right, so here's the thing. Let's come out of this. Now, we talked about this, right? We got all this stuff about like, oh, how's the Switch 2 gonna make, a game run that looks good, it's probably gonna look like really bad quality and low resolution. But the thing is that we gotta remember, Nintendo showed this to developers as something that they want to impress them with. So no doubt, the report said that they were running it with quality that looks similar to the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. So on paper, the specs of this Switch 2 is not going to be super impressive. It's more about what they're doing with the actual processing power. And everything I'm saying is not realistic. Yeah, what I'm saying is fact. So yeah, don't worry about it, buddy. Total fact, because they already are doing this in the first place. But yeah, so the Steam Deck has ray tracing. But anyway, if you guys don't believe me about image quality and how good it can look on 4K displays, check this out. Watch this. I'm gonna show you something. All right, so here's Starfield. All right, so I already have Starfield up and running. Here's Starfield, okay? Oh, wow, it looks great, right? Wow, this looks really good. All right, so this is Starfield running on my PC. I'm displaying this at, well, actually no, I'm not going to tell you what I'm displaying this as. Watch this. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this game, Starfield. So screenshot, right? Now, check this out. Let's go to my desktop. I have my Starfield screenshots. Here's the screenshot I just took. Look at the image resolution I took that screenshot in. 3840 by 2160. This is a 4K screenshot. Okay. Here's a proof right down in the corner, 4K screenshot. Okay, great. So you're playing the game at 4K, you say, big deal, big whoop. However, this is not actually a 4K. I wasn't playing the game at 4K at all. Here, let me show you what I was actually playing the game in. All right, so I was playing that at 1440p. Okay, great, 1440p you say, big deal, big whoop. The Switch 2 won't be able to do that either. Because it can't generate images that good at 1440. It's not possible. Okay, great, sure. But here's my render resolution scale that I was playing that at. I was playing that at 50%. What is 50% of 1440p? 720p. All right. So to that guy who was just saying that what I said doesn't make sense, I just proved you wrong right there. But watch this. So I'm running this at 720p, upscaled to 4K on my monitor. So if you press F1 here, I'm running the DLSS plugin, which is a mod, and it says right there in the corner that it's the game is actually running at 720p right now, and I'm upscaling it internally, the game internally, to 1440p with AI upscaling technology with DLSS, right? Great. So, but why am I able to actually take a 4K picture then if I'm running it at 1440p? Well, how is that possible? Ah, good question you ask. What I did was I set my monitor to display 1440p, but there's another trick that I did on top of that, which was going into the NVIDIA control panel. Again, this is all possible. You can do this on any device for, as well. I turned on NVIDIA image scaling, which basically allows the GPU to upscale whatever I display on my monitor to the native resolution of my monitor. Okay, so whatever I rendered in the game is going to be automatically upscaled to 4K. So this is a trick that people have been doing for years, actually, especially even on Twitch, like streamers, for example. So here's like GPU scaling. This doesn't actually give you any performance loss either. There's no performance loss in this. But yeah, so developers have been doing this. Like Twitch streamers would output like 720p, and then they would upscale their own streams to 1080p on Twitch, and it would look pretty good, and because they weren't able to render that same resolution. So I'm actually playing this game at 720p here, and it looks pretty darn good. Yes, it looks a little bit more blurry because I'm upscaling it twice, but this is exactly the types of techniques that Nintendo is going to manifest with the Switch 2. They're going to be having games that may be actually rendering at 720p internally, but they will be upscaled twice. Once maybe to 1080p, and then over to 1440p, and then with upscaling, and then upscaled again with TAA maybe, or other techniques to upscale one more time to 4K. So the actual internal resolution of Starfield right now is 720p. See what I'm saying? So that is a really cool demonstration of why, like, the Switch 2, it can't do games at 4K. Yeah, you're right. It's not going to do games at 4K. It's not going to even render games at 1440p, most likely. It's going to have games that run at low resolutions, but when you play them on your 4K TV, they're going to look good enough. They're going to look probably more like a PlayStation 4 Pro in terms of like image quality. Yeah, this doesn't look perfect. There's some slight fuzziness here and there, but man, does it look really good for a 720p image being upscaled to 1440p to 4K. Hey Rob, what's up, buddy? Yeah, we're getting real deep into the tech stuff here. I'm trying to explain to people how a Switch 2 will be possible to have PlayStation 5 type of graphics because of all the different types of upscaling techniques they could do. And I just proved it to you guys watching right now. Just want to reiterate, this is Starfield running at 720p, upscaled to 1440p, and then upscaled again to 4K on my monitor, okay? But the actual game is running at 720p. All right? So if you're not impressed by this, then I think you're expecting too much from the Switch 2. And obviously the Switch 2 will need to have enough processing power to run, like, the worlds and everything like that, which is, of course, we'll get into that as well. So yeah, let's go back here. Oh, I forgot to turn off my other stuff and my other thing here. That stuff comes up automatically. That's the power of YouTube for you. But yeah, so basically, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, you're okay with upscaling too. Yeah, exactly. So that's how they can do that. Now, on top of that, you got things like frame generation, right? So we talked about how NVIDIA they started doing frame generation just recently with DLSS 3, right? So they're doing frame generation with that stuff, which is not possible with other consoles until FSR 3 is released. So, like I said, I do think Nintendo will be allowing developers to use FSR frame generation on the Switch 2. Because you got to think about it this way: if Nintendo has a console that allows for frame generation along with DLSS like 3.5, do you realize what Nintendo will be trying to be using for their console at that point? It would need to be like a Lovelace GPU, like a 4000 series level NVIDIA graphics card that they would have to be using for that kind of stuff. If you're expecting anything like that for a Switch 2, you're going to be probably extremely disappointed that, it's highly unlikely they're going to be using bleeding edge technology from NVIDIA to run a Switch 2, which means that frame generation, if they want to use it, will be an FSR 3 thing. And frame generation, it works at 30 frames, but that's another thing you need. You need anti-lag to be also put into your game to have it be less noticeable. The cool thing about FSR and FSR 3, FSR 2, it's compatible with the anti-lag features of all NVIDIA graphics cards. So the NVIDIA ultra low latency reflex, it has the ability to be compatible, of course, with any game you're playing. So if Nintendo allows for, which I don't see why they wouldn't allow for, developers to use frame generation with FSR 3, like I said, I don't think they'll be using with DLSS because I don't think we'll be purchasing a Switch 2 that costs $700 or $800, because NVIDIA will charge probably like $150 to $200 just for their graphics API or graphics IP to be used for a Switch 2 if they have a 4000 series level of graphics in there. But yeah, there is no NVIDIA based product out there that runs in a portable form factor the level of a like besides like a laptop, which isn't really a portable. It's not a portable like this. So for NVIDIA to make something that is extremely bleeding edge for Nintendo to have all those bells and whistles, it's probably not going to happen unless you're spending, like I said, like $800 for the console. Nintendo wants this thing to be as mass market as possible. They're going to be likely using or allowing developers to use FSR3. Okay, that's just the way it is, you know. So as far as like what Nintendo's using to upscale their games, we talked about it earlier. They have a patent, guys. They're working on this patent. There's got to be something to this patent if they just updated it of this year. So even though like they may be using DLSS in their prototype hardware for like or test PCs, the final product probably is going to use something that has their own custom-based neural networks, so they could do their own upscaling techniques in order to take images like a 720p and upscale it to 1440p like we showed, and then have one more upscaler on top of it, upscale it one more time to 4K. That's the tricks. That's the tricks that the current generation of graphics and developers are using. All right, great. So this is all very exciting, right? Now, there's another thing that happened though, and I we'll talk about this as we go, but there's another thing that happened as well. This haptic feedback. Nintendo filed a patent that's basically talking about them using a controller that uses the magnetic field generation of magnet heretical fluid, which is basically what is the basis for developing haptic feedback peripherals for your devices. And shout out to, is that you, buddy? Remo Bandito? I think you were the one that sent me that on Twitter, right? Shout out to you, I think, if that was you, who sent me a link to this patent just a couple days ago. That Nintendo is working on basically haptic feedback for a new controller. Yeah, thanks, buddy. And if you don't believe me, what I said, here is this company called Zeltech. I don't know how you say it. Ztech, Tech. They create haptic feedback peripherals here, and they use the same technology right here. Magnetic heraldical technology, if I could say it right. Basically, though, what this does, it let's see, the electrified coil generates a magnetic field which immediately changes the state of the magnetic fluid or powder. They could use a fluid or powder, and thus stops the actuator's rotation. So like actually causing small movements with this material. It's MRM. We'll call it MRM material for short. So we've been talking about this for a while, guys. In the past, Mike Odyssey has a good video of these patents. Yeah, I'm good, but thank you. The thing is though, is that we've been talking about what Nintendo's gimmick will be for their next console, and they don't need a gimmick. Like we talked about this before, like they don't need any gimmicks really. However, adopting like newer based technologies like haptic feedback in their controller, I think would be really cool, because they can use it probably in much more creative ways than Sony did. Like Sony gave it a shot. What was it? Astro's Playground, or Astro's whatever it's called. Their launch game on the PS5 uses a lot of the haptic feedback features. But for Nintendo, they're a much more creative, company, especially with Mario and, all their, games they have. I've been saying for years now that haptic feedback could be used by Nintendo much better than, say, like a Sony, who focuses a lot on like movie-based games and stuff like that, like movie quality, like cinematic games. As far as like interacting with your gameplay, though, Nintendo is well known for innovating in that way, and they could do haptic feedback a lot better, I think. So yeah, basically, like they give a little diagram here of how it would work. It would move in all directions and cause the friction. I don't know if you guys have played the DualSense controller on a PS5. There's various games that use haptic feedback. You can feel the friction between you, like the pushback of pulling the trigger of a gun like in Call of Duty. It's like harder to pull or push in or less or more. Things like that are something that would work for Nintendo, I think, a lot better for their games than would say it's like for a Sony game. So, but yeah, there's various different methods to do haptic feedback, but this is like the main one that most people use. And Nintendo has, in fact, on September 7th, just a couple days ago, patented haptic feedback for a controller. So, yeah, that fixed the drift, right? So is that just a coincidence that they are releasing these patents at this was the same exact day that the information of the Unreal Engine 5 demo coming out happened the same day. So, is that just a coincidence? It doesn't seem like it is, but hey, you never know. It's just one of those things that, you kind of makes you wonder when you start seeing these things happen like this continually, and they're dropping patents out like this. They're updating their patents on upscaling technology. They're dropping patents on haptic feedback technology and controllers. You have games being revealed at demos being revealed at Gamescom to developers. You have dev kits going out. You have parts and suppliers saying first half of 2024. You have, various people saying, yeah, it's coming next year. You got to think it's probably coming next year, very soon. but yeah, haptic feedback, they can incorporate that also with their joysticks, but we have to wait and see how they would do that. But yeah, drift is definitely a problem. I'm not sure if that would necessarily fix a drift situation. Maybe not, but it's one of those things, right? So yeah, man, I'm very excited to see what they can do. But yeah, I gave you guys a live demonstration right there of what you could do with a very low output resolution game at 720p with Starfield, how good it could look at 4K. So if you guys don't believe that this is the real deal, here's FSR3 yet again, right? So that's the thing, though. You want to have games that could at least output at 1080p. You would hope, right? But since there are techniques like this that allow you to generate images at a lower resolution and then get those high frame rates, they could also balance it out the other way by targeting 1080p and then using something like frame generation FSR3 to increase frame rates from 30 frames per second or maybe 45 frames per second to get a locked 60. You see what I'm saying? So this technology is, in fact, the wave of the future for games and for consoles. For sure, guys. Absolutely. So it's a lot to be excited for. Let's see. Was there anything else I need to cover? Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Specs. That's right. Let's go over the specs. But I want to put a disclaimer on this one. This information is 100% rumor. This is not confirmed. This particular individual started making the rounds due to probably just because the information that came out from BGC. It's like, oh, by the way, here's my rumor that I got. It's very suspect when people do that. So I would say put this one with a large grain of salt for these particular specs. Yes, they could be true, but it also could just be a very easy guess, to be honest with you. But yeah, basically this individual from Universo Nintendo Editor, I've never heard of this site, never heard of Necro Felipe, never heard of him. They say who correctly revealed information regarding Nintendo's products and games in the past. I have never heard of this guy. I've never seen any leaks or rumors from this guy ever before. So I guess, but yeah, when you see stuff like this, just be very careful. Okay. You don't want to just automatically believe, some guy who comes after the fact with his own information. So like if this individual rumored this before VGC and before Eurogamer, I'll be more likely to believe it. But this looks more like a piggyback to me. Not saying it's wrong, but I'm less likely to take it as more believable. Just saying. So this individual said that the console will be ray tracing capable, which is already what VGC was saying. So not really any new information there. And then, but the main thing that they talked about was 12 gigabytes of RAM for the system and DLSS 3.1. So just him saying DLSS 3.1 kind of is suspect right there, because it's highly unlikely they would know like the exact version they're using, if they're even using it when they're working on a patent like this. So it's like, yeah, you know, that's fine. It seems like very easy to guess, you know, like especially after you, oh, you know, VGC came out with this information. Oh, it's running ray tracing. It's running this demo, and oh, they said it's said to be using DLSS. Okay, well here's my information. This could get me a lot more traction on my website. I'm just saying, nothing wrong with doing that. Nothing against this guy. I'm more or less likely to believe this one because it's coming after the fact. That's all. No big deal. I do think Switch 2 needs to have at least 12 gigabytes of RAM, maybe 16. But the thing is that you got to remember, Switch 2 will not be using the same type of RAM that's in the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X or S. And the reason for that is that it needs to use LPDDR5 RAM, most likely, like the ones that are made for low power level consumptions for portable devices. It's not going to be using like GDDR6 or something that are in high-end graphics cards, like what's in PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. It's going to need to use LPDDR5 at the very least, maybe LPDDR5X. So yeah, interesting how this individual doesn't even know what type of RAM it is, just says 12 gigabytes. It's very suspect, because that should be really easy information to know. So LPDDR5 is, at the very least, is probably what the Switch 2 will use for its RAM. The thing is, though, you're going to need more of it. So I would say at the very least 12 to 16 gigabytes, because LPDDR5 and LPDDR5X gives you less bandwidth than a GDDR6 would, and GDDR6X. So they'll need more of it. And they'll need to do some, you know, working with the power levels of it to get it working very good with the SoC. It needs to actually be probably installed with the actual SoC itself, like as close as possible to the CPU and GPU, so it's feeding the RAM to it as best as possible. So yeah, there you go. Gaming Dad, I just explained why the RAM needs to be different. Yeah, and a Steam Deck also uses 16 gigabytes. Yeah, and it needs it. It needs it, but it uses LPDDR5 RAM. It doesn't use GDDR6. So yeah, whenever I see journalists post information like this, I like to dissect it, because you can kind of tell a little bit sometimes that, you know, this is a little suspect. He's leaving out some information, and there's not necessarily, this information is not really going to be known at this point either. It's kind of suspect, but it's also very easy guesses as well. So yeah, exactly. Tom, yeah. What is the speed of the RAM exactly? What is the, you know, bandwidth? We don't know, but that's why you need more of it for portable consoles, because it's different RAM. It's not the same, which they don't explain here at all. There you go. So if you guys are curious, though, you know, I've heard a lot of people talking about that. Oh, the Switch 2 could you're expecting too much. You're expecting too much if the Switch 2, you know, is on par with an Xbox Series S. Xbox Series S, right? You're expecting too much. I don't personally think so, and there's various reasons why. And the reason why I think that it's not too much to expect that is because, for one, Xbox Series S is old and outdated at this point. It's based on like 2019 technology, like the RDNA 2. That's going to be 5 years old by the time Switch 2 comes out. Same with PS5 and Xbox Series X. It's, of course, it's what you do with the power. But here's the thing. What a lot of people don't understand as to why are developers complaining so much about Xbox Series S? Why are they complaining about it? Anyone know? The main thing that developers have complained about with Xbox Series S is the RAM, right? Lack of RAM. Okay. Now, the Series S has 10 gigabytes of RAM. Oh my gosh, that's a lot, right? Whoa. Why would it have problems doing, why would it have problems rendering games if it has 10 gigabytes? Well, here's the problem. Problem is Microsoft was basically stupid in designing that console. they made a console, the Xbox Series S. The X is fine. It has a lot more RAM to work with, but they designed the Xbox Series S with 10 gigabytes of RAM, but only 8 gigabytes of RAM that can be used for games, and 2 gigabytes of RAM for the operating system that runs at a slower frequency than the faster RAM of the 8 gigabytes for the console. And you would say, well, that's not that bad. 8 gigabytes should be enough, right? PlayStation 4 had 8 gigabytes, like what Gareth says here. That should be totally enough. Why is it having problems? That doesn't make any sense to me. And also, what's interesting as well, when you look at games like Street Fighter 6, if you look at Digital Foundry's video on Street Fighter 6, the PlayStation 4 vanilla version, the PS4, the 2013 model, runs Street Fighter 6 with better detailed textures than the Xbox Series S does. Why on earth is that the case if the Xbox Series S has enough RAM? Well, the Xbox Series S, if you look this up on Google, I'm not going to pull up all the diagrams for you. When they examined the SoC and they took it out of the console, they did a teardown of it. They discovered that the Xbox Series S only is running on a 128-bit bandwidth for its GPU, and its bandwidth for its RAM is like 200 gigabytes per second. It's like pretty low, but 128 bit and 8 gigabytes of RAM, it's kind of slow. So you're seeing brand new graphics cards by NVIDIA being released today that are just kind of garbage, like the RTX 4060, the 4060. It only has 128-bit bandwidth, and it's running new games at 1080p 60. It's not even running games very well without frame generation at 1440p. So like RAM bandwidth is a huge problem with Xbox Series S, and on top of that, it's not just that, but there's another problem the Xbox Series S has that's lesser known that I've actually talked to developers on. Now, you don't have to believe me on this, but it does explain quite a bit as to why like a game like Street Fighter 6 would have low detailed textures when it shouldn't. But there are rumors that basically developers are actually not even using the 8 gigabytes of the Series S RAM either. They're actually diverting 6 or 6.5 gigabytes just for games, and they're using the rest of the 8 available to the operating system, and basically just not even using the 2 gigabytes for the operating system that's a slower RAM. And the reason for that, from what I've heard, that they're doing that is because the RAM speed frequency that they have to switch between to use both RAMs at the same time, again, like I said, poor design decision by Xbox and Microsoft. They're simply choosing not to use it because the bandwidth limitation of the slower RAM bogs down the actual performance of the console. So you have a bottleneck there where if you use that slower RAM, you're trying to use it with the fast RAM at the same time, it drags the overall speed down on the entire console as you use it for games. So what developers are actually doing in some of these games, they're actually just using the 8 gigabytes available for games and diverting some of that just to games and diverting that just to the operating system, and they're just leaving untouched the extra 2 gigabytes. So in actuality, Xbox Series S in some games is only using around 6.5 gigabytes of RAMs for the games, which also could explain why they're having so much problems with porting even games with split screen like Baldur's Gate to the system. The system doesn't have any RAM bandwidth to use due to a poorly designed console. So, yeah, which is why I think the Switch 2 has a very good opportunity to have a singular RAM pool. If they have 16 gigabytes of LPDDR5 5X to use to render their games with, and they divert just to that same speed of RAM, they don't have to break it off into separate pieces like Xbox does. You could actually have a console with Switch 2 while docked that could actually perform better than an Xbox Series S because of the lesser RAM limitations that the Switch 2 could have. And it's just theoretical. Theoretically, Switch 2 could, while docked, actually perform better than Xbox Series S if you take into consideration how poorly designed the Xbox Series S is. Okay? Take that into consideration, and you understand why I think Switch 2 could theoretically perform better. Okay? All right, so RAM is a huge reason why. If you don't have RAM, you can't render your games. You're going to have, that's exactly why you're seeing games in Xbox Series S when they walk up to objects and it has like completely different LOD detail level because the system just doesn't have the RAM to do it at all. So there you go. But yeah, we're just talking theoreticals here. I'm not saying that it's going to definitely be, like that or anything like that, but I'm explaining why, I would say due to the problems of the Xbox Series S, it lowers the playing field of Nintendo Switch 2. You know what I mean? Like the playing field, the entry level of the next gen has been lowered to make it easy for Nintendo to get in there and get ports pretty much from all these games. Unless, developers just stop making ports for Xbox Series S, which is what they almost did recently with Baldur's Gate until they, had to actually impose limitations on what Xbox would allow for their console. I think the entry level is pretty good for a Switch 2. But yeah, like on paper, I think the Switch 2 will be, in the ballpark of a Series S on paper. Will it have the same chips and the same RAM? Absolutely not. The chipset will have to be designed for a portable system, and it's not going to have it's going to have most likely an ARM processor like what they use in Samsung Galaxy tablets or phones. So yeah, it's not going to be like an x86 processor in a portable device. It has to have a low power consumption ARM processor. It's going to run at low power. It's got to use LPDDR5 at the very least. So yeah, as far as what the actual physical makeup of the console specs are, it's going to be different than an Xbox Series S, but on paper, it may look similar. So you may see something like 2 teraflops in portable mode or 1.5 teraflops to 2 teraflops in portable mode. And then while docked, you may see something like 4 teraflops, which would be exactly the same as Xbox Series S, but they would get there in a much different way. You see what I'm saying? So Series S is a huge problem for developers, more so than what people actually realize. But it's good news for Nintendo because it lets them get their feet wet into next gen. Like, oh yeah, we got something that's better actually than Series S because you can take it on the go. Here you go, right? Maybe they'll release it for $499. We have to wait and see, right? So in regards to price, I think $399, $400 is the sweet spot for Switch 2. And I think that they will try to target that for Switch 2. Let me take a drink here. I'm talking a lot. How we doing on engagement? Oh man. Yeah, hit the like button for me, guys. You gotta get it over 100 likes. Let's get it closer to. Let's get it over there. Everyone watching, if you're enjoying this stream, please hit the like button for me. Yeah, let's get those likes up. Appreciate you guys coming out, enjoying this time. We got over 200 people in the chat. Let's get that engagement up. So yeah, appreciate you guys. Yeah, so in regards to SKUs, right? You gotta think about storage capacity. Switch 2. You got rumor is there's rumors going around that 512 and then 1 terabyte. Well, actually no, not one. I think someone said 1 terabyte, right? But yeah, it doesn't really matter. They need to have at least 512, right? I don't think 256 gigabytes is enough for much of anything. Maybe 3 games. like the way games, how big games are these days, you need a lot more storage space for your consoles. So if Nintendo releases a $399 Switch 2, then they may have a 512 version and they may have a 1 terabyte version, but we have to think that they're going to try to produce as many of these consoles as possible for launch day. So in my personal opinion is that I think they'll just have one Switch 2, similar to what they did with the Switch 1 in 2017. Just release one Switch variant to start with, and then push that as hard as possible, get as many out there as possible of just that one variant of Switch. I hope they don't go with the Wii U route where they have 2 different models and they try to get you to buy the 350 model, like they did with the Wii U, which is a big failure. Just focus on one model if you can and push it as hard as you can and get as many out there to the consumers as possible for, $400. Yes, they could theoretically have a $500 version for $499, but you just don't want to lock off people. So I don't know. We have to wait and see, because they could say, hey, here's the OLED Switch 2 with a terabyte of memory storage space for $500. I would definitely buy that for me, but would the average consumer buy that? Probably not. They'll probably go for the $399 version. So for Nintendo to market the console, it would be a very good, beneficial for them to focus just on getting one price point out there at first, get as many people on board as possible, and then move on with the next with all their games and everything like that. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. Anyways, and yes, Metroid Prime 4 too. I think this kind of almost confirms, right, that Metroid Prime 4 is likely going to be targeting the Switch 2 if they're showing tech demos like the Matrix Awakens. If they're showing tech demos like this running on the Switch 2 theoretical hardware, then Metroid Prime 4 is going to be probably looking like a jaw-dropping, stunning game, right? So I am extremely excited for the possibility of Metroid Prime 4, okay? And, that's going to be quite an amazing experience there, I'm pretty sure, right? If it's living up to what Retro Studios' past Retro Studios' past reputation for making amazing games, which I don't have any reason to believe that it won't, then yeah, we're in for quite a stunner with Metroid Prime 4. Everything we've been covering with Metroid Prime 4 for the past 3 years or so indicates very much so that Retro Studios is working on something that probably is beyond what the current Switch can do. Not saying that the current Switch will not get a port of Metroid Prime 4, It's only been announced for the Switch OG, guys, right? So you have to assume that the Switch OG is getting Metroid Prime 4. However, when you look at games like Doom Eternal, for example, on the Switch, yeah, Doom Eternal looks great on the Switch for what it can do, but it's still 720p 30 frames. You got to think that a Metroid Prime 4 would actually be able to push the limits of, you know, the technology aspect much farther. You might be looking at something that's upscaling to 1440p 60 frames with the latest and greatest effects, with some ray tracing abilities, you know, great lighting effects and everything, and all those things can be scaled down and lessened quite a bit on the Switch OG, kind of like with what they did with the Metroid Prime Remastered. They have some special effects that are actually lessened and toned down a little bit with Metroid Prime Remastered, even from the original GameCube release, like the real-time lighting effects. Maybe the the Switch 2 will have similar type of stuff, but like just amped up, everything amped up, better textures, better lighting, better shadows, better detail, better draw distance. Not that it wouldn't run on Switch 1, but it would be the preferred method to play on Switch 2. So yeah, Metroid Prime 4, I'm almost 100% positive you're going to be seeing that game on Switch 2 as being the marquee graphical like representation of, you want next gen Nintendo, here's Metroid Prime 4. Oh, okay, yeah. Day one. It was already day one anyway, but yeah, like, oh wow, look at this. Yeah, let's get that. You want a game that showcases the power or the performance of your new console. It looks like Metroid Prime 4 is going to be that game, along with the new 3D Mario, probably holiday of 2024. So if they do release, we can talk about release date a little bit. If they do release Switch 2 first half of 2024, I don't think it'll release with a Mario game. They'll probably release a updated version of Tears of the Kingdom, and then Metroid Prime 4 maybe staggered after that, and then Super Mario 3D Ultra whatever 4K game for holiday of 2024 to solidify it as Nintendo's new Mario, new next gen console. And if they do wait for holiday 2024, I think they'll then release, of course, that's a launch game, probably the Mario game. So yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah. For those saying Mario will be the launch game, that's not necessarily the case, because Switch didn't launch with Mario. Switch launched with Zelda. So yeah, Mario is not a given, and they're just releasing Mario Wonder. Was it next month? So I don't think we're getting a Mario, the next 3D Mario, until holiday 2024 is my guess. So Nintendo can sell a Switch 2 just fine without a Mario at launch. There's people are going to be really excited to buy it. Let's see. But yeah, guys, it's really exciting to think about all the cool stuff. Somebody was saying, what were we saying earlier? Somebody was saying something that caught my eye in the chat. Let me see what somebody said something that caught my eye. I was going to say something about it. It wasn't F-Zero. Oh yeah, cross-gen. I don't know. Thought I saw something. Anyway. But yeah, we're going to be seeing some pretty cool stuff with Switch 2, no doubt. And it's going to be exciting. 720p, why not start at 1080p and then upscale from there? Well, because it depends on the game. If you're trying to run games that look like this, chances are you have a console, that's trying to balance being a portable and docked, at the same time. It may not be physically possible, to target that. So we'll have to wait and see. All right. Let's go back here. Backwards compatibility. Yeah. That's what I saw. Okay. Final Fantasy 16. Yeah. Final Fantasy 7. You guys may not be aware of this if you don't if you don't attend my live streams usually when I play games, but yeah, I've been talking about Final Fantasy 7 Remake, Final Fantasy 16 coming to Switch 2 months ago actually. So yeah, I do think you'll be getting Final Fantasy 7 Remake and Final Fantasy 16 on Switch 2, of course, as later ports when all their exclusivity deals run out with Sony. I don't think Square Enix is going to be keeping those games on PlayStation. So I think you'll be seeing Final Fantasy 7 Remake, at the very least that, and 16 on Switch 2. And yeah, we've been talking about that before anybody even rumored it out there. Yeah. That's all I'm gonna say. We've been talking about that for months. So yeah. Anyway, I would prefer to play Final Fantasy 16 on PC. Honestly, I have Final Fantasy 16 on PS5, and it kind of looks kind of muddy. So they need to update their upscaling on that game. They're using FSR 1 on Final Fantasy 16. I don't know what they're thinking, but that was just terrible. It just looks kind of muddy. But you know, looks good enough. But yeah, Final Fantasy 7 Remake and Final Fantasy 16 very likely coming to Switch 2. All right, so all right, guys. So you want to get into some question and answer? How about let's talk a little bit about the upcoming Nintendo Direct as well, right? I'm a little disappointed in how the leak culture is for Nintendo Directs lately. You got that penguin guy, or is it a duck or some kind of bird, on Twitter, you know, leaking out the games for this Nintendo Direct. And I don't really want to get into like spoil it for people, but I think by doing that individual is causing a problem. Because yeah, you got some people expecting F-Zero GX, and what if it's not F-Zero GX? What if it's just some lame version of F-Zero that you weren't expecting? Guess what? You got your you know, excitement all up for F-Zero GX because of some penguin bird thing leaked it, you know, beforehand. Yeah, I don't even know what F-Zero 99 is. You see, like I've muted that guy, by the way. I don't even want to know at this point. And the reason is because you have individuals like that. The only reason he doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about you. People like that don't care about their audience. They only care about getting people to follow them. So like, they don't care about spoiling the Nintendo Direct. They don't care about spoiling the surprise for people. It's especially when they do it like 1 week before a Direct. There is no purpose that it serves for you at all. It does nothing for you. All it does is get your expectations up really high, and then like, oh, that's all it is? It's some Donkey Kong weird side game or some F-Zero side game. That's not what I wanted. I thought it was going to be F-Zero GX, or I thought it was going to be Donkey Kong Country 3 or Donkey Kong Country Returns 3 or whatever, right? So like I don't care how good the guy's track record is. I mean, that's the thing though. Like a lot of these guys put things out there, and they'll say, oh, I never said what type of game it was going to be. I said it was just this. I hinted it was going to be this franchise. And people get their hopes like really, really high for their best imagination of what that franchise can represent. So yes, F-Zero GX has been rumored remaster for a while. Donkey Kong Country Returns 3 has been rumored, for example. Even if it's not made by Retro Studios, right? So like, I'm just saying, guys, Be careful getting your hopes too high with people who are known to leak real information like right before the direct comes out. I am not in support of that. I think it's a disservice to you as a fan of Nintendo. I think it's a disservice to the direct itself. It takes away the excitement from the direct itself as well when you do that just like 1 week beforehand. I'm totally okay with like people rumoring games coming to the Switch or rumoring future games coming to Nintendo. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy 16. But like if you're going out of your way to be like, look at me, this is real information, and I'm telling you that it's going to happen just a couple days before, does that actually benefit you at all? It doesn't actually benefit you at all. All it does is ruin the direct for you. It benefits the person who leaks the information because they get the notoriety and the people following them. But for you though, it doesn't do anything for you guys. Overall, it just hurts the presentation itself. So yeah, no, I'm not in support of Mr. Penguin Duck Thing guy leaking those games. Especially since you don't even know what games are going to be, so automatically people are assuming it may be something that it isn't. So you're setting yourself up for disappointment, guys. So yeah, that's just my advice. I've already muted that individual. I'm not even going to be looking at their tweets. I would rather just go in there not knowing, and because it doesn't do anything. If you're just waiting for a Nintendo Direct, yeah, it's fine to like be aware, like, oh, cool, and Nintendo Direct's coming in September. Yeah, guess what? We knew that already because it happens every year. Oh, by the way, you're gonna get a new Donkey Kong and F-Zero in that Nintendo Direct that comes out next week. Gee, thanks. Why not just why didn't I just wait for the Direct itself? Oh, because I want you to know, because I'm a leaker and I want you to follow me because I get things right. Like, no, man, come on. No. This is not the way to do it, guys. Oh, you like my James Bond GoldenEye gameplay? Good stuff. Yeah, so that Nintendo Direct is probably not going to have anything about Switch 2 in it, of course. So don't get your hopes up for that either. What I'm hoping for, which nobody has rumored really, but I'm hoping for a shadow drop of Metroid Prime 2 Remastered, right? Will Starfield have a Switch 2 port? No. Very unlikely. I'm hoping for a Metroid Prime 2 Remaster to be shadow dropped or announced or whatever. I'll be more excited for that than Donkey Kong or F-Zero, but I would be excited for Donkey Kong and F-Zero. Don't get me wrong, but I would like Metroid Prime 2 to be revealed, and so we can start playing that game as soon as possible. I'm excited to see what changes they're going to make for Metroid Prime 2 Remastered. Hopefully they have just a little bit of quality of life improvements on how you back travel in that game. So but yeah, let's open it up to full Q&A. Let's do Q&A, guys. I'm already answering some questions as it is, but yeah, this is our Q&A section. Somebody already asked about Starfield coming to the Switch 2. Yeah, no, I don't think so, right? Yeah, in regards to the guys that leak stuff on Twitter, by the way, I've been doing YouTube for 13 years. I have my own website since 2005. I've been to E3. I was at E3 in 2001. I've seen it all. I've had goals. I've accomplished all my goals I wanted to do so far. So like the content I share is out of my own personal, like excitement for gaming. That's why I do content. I like talking about games. I like sharing information about games. But like, I've seen it all, guys, with these guys that leak stuff on Twitter. They're here one day and they're gone the next. You know, Nintendo can target that individual and he'll just be disappeared off the internet. Like, it's one of those things, like, people like that, they don't make content. They just tweet out information and like, here's a leak. Okay, great. That's some really nice content you made there, buddy. Yeah, that's not what I'm into. Okay, Remo, do you think Nintendo, chat's going up there, do you think Nintendo will get their online features more up to date? Yes, I think they will probably implement some rollback netcode. What I'm hoping for, and I'm not a rumor whatsoever, what I hope they do is they release like a 4K version of Smash Ultimate with implementing rollback netcode into that game for people to play Smash Brothers online in a more competitive setting without having to go to physical in-person tournaments all the time just to be competitive. They can do a much better job with Smash Brothers with their online updating for that in the future. And I think with the new console, they can really focus on that. So yeah, I do think they will, Remo. Loki asks, do you still believe Metroid Prime 4 will show up on Switch 1? Yes, I answered that earlier. The answer is yes, I do. And the reason is because they've only announced it on Switch 1 in the first place. So I do think it'll be on Switch 1, but I definitely think Switch 2 is going to be the version to play. Dave the Impaler, I expect Prime 2 and 3 Masters to be shadow dropped. Yeah, you know, I hope so. And hopefully they're not just Pikmin 1 and 2 type of ports either, right? Hopefully they do a little bit more than that. George D76, Switch 2 will be announced next week. Oh, you're praying for that. Nah, I don't think it's going to happen. Malphite, was there any info on Switch 2's battery life? No. Only that it'll be portable, so I imagine they'll have a similar type of battery life from Switch 1. They need at least 3 to 4 hours at the very least. Of course, you're hoping for 4 to 5 hours, 6 to 8 hours tops. But if it's running stuff like Unreal Engine 5 type of level of performance, with like the Matrix, you know, like demo like they showed, then you got to hope for at the very least 3 to 4 hours with a console like that. Mr. Andrew, do you think From Software and other developers like them would port older games to Switch 2, especially like Monster Hunter World or such? Yes and no. I don't know if Monster Hunter World would be appropriate at this point because it's pretty much been played out. But games like Resident Evil 4 Remake, Resident Evil 2, 3, Resident Evil Village, the actual versions ported over, I do think so. Games like Devil May Cry 5, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, Elden Ring, Tomb Raider, the newer Tomb Raider games, I do think developers who released those games on PS4, those will be in a very, very, very easy ports to release on the Switch 2. Dave the Impaler asks again, realistically, what is the weakest do you believe the Switch 2 could be if Nintendo cheaps out on the hardware? Well, let's see, Dave the Impaler. I believe that the weakest they could go would be like a 1.5 teraflops in portable mode and like 3 teraflops docked with the newest like technology stuff, or some of the newer stuff. And but like, you know, you get to the point where you're doing yourself a disservice if you're making it so low that you still can't run new games. Like if you're going to release a next gen console and you still can't run new games and you just released your new console, that's a fail. Here's a brand new Switch and it can't run the new games. Buy it. No. Like the indication that this from it running this demo here, like from this information, you know, all indications seem to be that, you know, this is going to be a console that can run new games, right? From this very demo that we looked at. That's the whole point of getting a new console, is to run not old games, but to run new games, right? Yes, I do believe, like I said, they'll get old ports they missed out on with enhanced settings, like I said, DMC5 and Elden Ring, stuff like that. But the whole reason is to release a console is to play new games on, not old ports. That's the problem the Switch ran into for so many years. It kept getting ancient ports that I've already played in, like on other consoles. So, no, you got to release new games. Lots of questions. Loki, do you agree with the internet rumors claiming Switch 2 will release holiday 2024? I'm like 50-50 on that. I don't really. I think there's a chance we could be seeing it earlier due to this recent information. Especially since Eurogamer agrees with me. They heard that Nintendo wants to release this console sooner rather than later. So I don't think first half of 2024 is off the table. I think we could be seeing it released first half 2024. But also holiday 2024. It all depends on stock availability and supply, and you know what they can produce. Do you think Nintendo release Boston Samus? Do you think Nintendo release within 6 months of announcements like Switch? They have cache achieving number 2. What? Oh. Yes. Let's see if they let's say they announce it. We're just speculating. Let's say for whatever reason Nintendo announces Switch 2 in October, just like what they did with Switch 1, October 2016. Let's say that they announce it in October 2023. We're just throwing it out there. And then they release it in March of 2024, into March or so. I think that'll be 6 months, right? October, November, December, February, March. Yeah. So I do think that's possible. Either way, I think Nintendo needs to give at least 6 months notice or so when they announce a new console. At least 6 months, right? You can't just have your next gen console and then announce it and then all of a sudden it's released like 1 month later. You gotta give your marketing a chance to catch up. You have to advertise it in commercials, get pre-orders going, make sure that the supply is there. It takes a lot. You need at least 6 months. Melfice, I'm not sure about how to answer your question. Would going with Hall effect joysticks for the Switch 2's Joy-Con help with drift? That's something I'm not sure about because I don't know much about how those joysticks work. I'm not really into that. So it sounds like that would be a better quality stick to use though. So you would hope that they would update their Joy-Cons to stop with their horrible quality issues that they have with those. Tony Khan, how would you feel if CD Projekt Red announces The Witcher 3 and or Cyberpunk 2077 for Nintendo's next generation hybrid console and Saber Interactive developing both games? Yeah, I would say that's going to happen. I think Cyberpunk 2077 is definitely coming to Switch 2. I would say put it in the books. Without a doubt. You can run Cyberpunk 2077 on Steam Deck, by the way. So yeah, I think we will be playing Cyberpunk 2077 on Switch 2, and when it's released, we will be streaming it right here. So make sure you're subscribed for that, because I love Cyberpunk. It's a great game. It's yes, it's not perfect, but I really enjoy Cyberpunk a lot. And yeah, in Witcher 3, If they care to update that game for Switch 2, sure, but it's already on Switch 1, so but yeah, Cyberpunk definitely. That's going to happen. That's happening. Loki asks, have you seen Siren's YouTube channel? Oh, about Ocarina of Time Unreal Engine 5 demos? Yeah, I've seen that. Those are just fan mods, right? And the potential is amazing, sure, but we have to actually see it in action. Did you play Armored Core? I have not. It does look fun, but I'm currently playing Starfield. There's a lot of games coming out. Got Mortal Kombat 1 coming out soon. I'm going to play that too. I'm not familiar with the Armored Core franchise, but it looks a lot of fun. I probably will check it out eventually. Do you think the new Nintendo Switch, Tad Adams? Do you think the new Nintendo Switch could play The Matrix Awakens well? Yeah. If Nintendo is showing the demo, like what the reports are saying, if Nintendo is already showing this demo, the reason they're showing it is because it can run it well. That's the whole point of showing a demo, a tech demo to a developer, is to say, hey, look what our console can do. It's running this at pretty good settings. It looks similar to PS5. Sure, the actual specs on paper may not be as good, of course. They won't be, I guarantee it. But hey, you know, look what we can do on this new console. Are you guys going to sign up for it? And they'll be like, yeah, heck yeah, man. So yes, I do think Switch 2 will run something like the Matrix demo just fine. If they're showing it to developers as a tech demo, then yeah. As Pie Pilled, is that how you say your name? Do you think the eShop will change? It's terrible at the moment. Yeah. I think the Switch 2 will have a updated user interface for their eShop. They have to. Yeah, the Switch eShop is terrible, man. Michael asks, do you think you would have any... Do you think you would have any surety that Metroid Prime 5 would blow us away more than the up and coming Prime 4? We have to wait and see Metroid Prime 4 first. Yeah. I do have a suspicion that we'll be seeing a new trilogy though. So Metroid Prime 4, 5, and 6. Metroid Prime 4 has the opportunity to be the biggest selling Metroid Prime game of all time. You can guarantee they'll have a Metroid Prime 5 and 6. Oh, I guessed your first name, Todd. How's Starfield? Oh yeah, Starfield. Well, you can see my impressions of Starfield. I have it on the channel here. I'll put the link in the chat for you guys. I did a impressions video of Starfield of the first 40 hours of it. So yeah, I'll put it in the chat here. Check it out. Give that a like. Starfield is good. I like it, but it's not perfect, of course. It's got issues. Has a terrible UI system, terrible map system, terrible navigation system. But the game is really engaging. It's a lot of fun. It has a really cool story. It has good combat. So yeah, it's like an 8 out of 10 for me so far. Are you Dave the Impaler? Are you just trolling? Because I've answered that question twice already. Maybe you're not listening. But yeah, I don't think Starfield's coming to Switch 2. Come on, man. I do like your profile picture though, the corgi. That's a cute corgi. Yeah, Loki answered your question already about Starfield. Bad edit. You asked, do you think certain titles on Switch 2 will be docked only exclusives? No. I think it'll be, they'll have portable and docked as well. Yeah, if I missed some of your questions, go ahead and re-ask them in the chat, and I'll get to them eventually. Sorry if I missed anybody's questions. Darth OP, what do you think this will mean for Switch 2's raw power and backwards compatibility, and when do you think Nintendo going to display it to the public? Game Awards? Yeah, you know, I'm thinking they'll be able to do backwards compatibility pretty easily on Switch 2. Nintendo keeps talking about how they want to move over everybody from Switch 1 to Switch 2 as easy as possible, so that should mean your game purchases too, right? If you purchase games on Switch 1, they'll be playable on Switch 2 because they want you to move over to the new ecosystem of Switch 2. So yeah, and as far as when they reveal it, it could be end of this month, could be October, could be December, could be January. I think they're going to reveal it soon, likely in a teaser trailer. Okay. Anwar's liking Sea of Stars. I haven't tried that yet. Other people asking about Starfield. I answered that already. Mr. Andrew, I kind of answered that already too. Do you think Nintendo will improve the UI of the Switch and add things like themes, music? Oh yeah, as far as that's concerned, I don't know, man. I hope so, but yeah, I just don't know. A little bit of music, a little tune in the background would be nice, but you know, I wouldn't say it's like required, but I think it would be nice to have. I do think they'll improve the UI quite a bit though on the Switch 2. Okay. Oh, you came late to the stream? Okay. Yeah, I thought I saw you. I thought I saw you actually ask that before. That's why. But yeah, it's all good, man. Is the EA partnership finally kicking off? EA wants money, so they'll be bringing their games to Switch 2 because they just want the money. They don't care about Nintendo's partnerships. If they can port their games easy to a Switch 2, they'll do it because they want revenue. Star Fox cross Starfield. That'd be funny, huh? Annabelle Max. Will the Switch 2 have a new gimmick going for it, or would just be a souped up Switch with better specs? Yeah, it may be related to the stream, but we talked about that earlier. It looks like. Let's go back. Looks like Nintendo is working on this patent was just released 2 days ago. They're working on haptic feedback for a controller. So actually filed back in May 11th, 2023, and they made it public on September 7th. Same day the information about the tech demo came out, Nintendo posted this patent about basically the technology they're using, magnetic field technology for, which is haptic feedback, like this stuff. So yeah, I think that could be one of their quote unquote gimmicks, is using haptic feedback on their controller. And like I was saying earlier, I think they could do a better job of it than Sony would. You just want it backwards compatible, Mr. Lex says. Okay. Thanks, Loki. Appreciate your support there. Nice setup. Office. No, this is my home. Yeah, this is my home. It's not my office. I guess it's both, right? For gaming. I play all my games on my monitor, whether it's PS5, Switch, or PC, it's all on my 4K monitor. I have my second monitor here, my streaming PC. So everything you see on my when I switch over to my other screen, this is all my gaming PC right here, and I'm streaming from my streaming PC that I'm looking at over here at the chat. Black and white themes, yeah, exactly. All right, I'm trying to scroll down a little bit and answer questions a little faster. You guys are just keep talking. Nintendo's back in the driver's seat with third parties. Yeah, they will be. They will be with this. Do you think there could be a Metroid Prime 4 Switch 2 Special Edition, and would you get it? It depends. I think I would buy a special edition of Metroid Prime 4 for the actual game itself. I'm not really into buying themed consoles, so definitely the collector's edition of Metroid Prime 4, the game itself, of like the big box and all that cool stuff, the art and everything for it. I would definitely get that. But yeah, like if they have some kind of Metroid Prime 4 like theme Switch console, Switch 2 console, I don't think I'd be interested in that really. I don't even look at my Switch. It's like it's behind, behind everything there. It's like, why would I get that? But like for like special stuff like an art book or a soundtrack or something special that comes with the actual game itself, I think I'd be interested in that. And we would do a giveaway too. I would definitely do a giveaway of that for you guys, for sure. All you guys supporting my Metroid Prime 4 content for all these years, we'll be doing a giveaway of Metroid Prime 4 either way for you. Okay? So make sure you're subscribed for that. Whether there's a special edition of Metroid Prime 4 or not, I will be giving away a copy of Metroid Prime 4 to one of you. All right? Haptic sounds nice. Thanks for the reply. Yeah, no problem, man. Daffyd Brooks, what's the rarest game in your collection? Rarest game in my collection? Oh, man. I don't know. I do have... I don't know if you could consider Eternal Darkness on the GameCube kind of rare. I guess, maybe? Maybe not. I don't know, man. Killer 7 on the GameCube. Those are getting kind of hard to find. It's all good. Annabelle Max, 1981. Is that your birthday? Supposedly added a camera in the reports is supposed to be some sort of augmented reality gaming for the system. Grain of salt, haha. Yeah, I wouldn't hold your breath on that stuff. That sounds way too like going into the wacky stuff again for Nintendo. Like, bless his heart, right? Satoru Iwata is no longer with Nintendo. But yeah, and Miyamoto's not really making the decisions either. So a lot of the quote-unquote wacky, innovative stuff that we did love, DS and the Wii, and I love the Wii U, but a lot of the more wacky, innovative stuff that they did, hit or miss, wherever it was, a lot of that was by Miyamoto and Iwata, and both of them, Iwata's gone, and Miyamoto is not really making those decisions anymore. Huh? Are you and OJ gonna have fun hot takes on Switch print together again? Probably not. Probably not. Oh, well, thanks for the donation. Thank you for the $5 donation. I saw that. Appreciate it, buddy. I'm not sure if anything played. Not sure if I had the sounds, if I had the sound on or not for that. If you heard anything, I hope you did, but if not, then great. Thank you for the support. I'll answer your question in a second, Daffod Brooks. Somebody else asked me something. You into OLED technology? Is that an OLED TV? Oh yeah, this is not actually an OLED TV. This is, I bought this a few years ago. It's like a QOLED, something like that. It's not like full OLED, but it's close. It's really good though. You having some kind of problem there, Bears? You keep retracting your message. I don't know. Weird. Oh yeah, Daffod Brooks. Why do you love the Wii U? That's wonderful that you do. Well, I mean, if you want to know why I love the Wii U, I did a full stream about it on my second channel. But I'm not gonna, I can't go and, you know, find it for you right now, but very innovative, a lot of fun, very humble time for Nintendo. They made a big mistake with the Wii U, but they made up for it with making great games. It was just a lot of fun. The system had some great games. Really, when it comes down to it, why do you love any console? It's because of the fun games and great games that it has, and the Wii U had fantastic games. That's really what it came down to. What kind of K-Switch 1? What kind of graphics do you think the next gen Switch would compare to? Yeah, I think you could see stuff that looks kind of on par with an Xbox Series S. Possibly, like I said before, people didn't want to. I'm just saying possibly. You could see games that run a little bit better on the Switch 2 than the Xbox Series S. And I talked about this earlier due to the extremely poor design of the Xbox Series S, and I went into full detail of why the Xbox Series S is a very, very poorly made console. Extremely disadvantaged and handicapped console. So we'll see. At the very least, though, I think you may see something like that as far as performance is concerned for Switch 2. Do you think Prime 4 will make an appearance in the upcoming Direct? There's always a chance. I don't think so, really, but there's always a chance they could tease it in like a CG form, but they really need to show Prime 2 and 3 first before I would really be on board thinking that they will show a Prime 4 at that Direct. Wow, somebody's 50. Okay, you're 50, huh, buddy? Oh, congratulations. Rob. Hey, Dave, what? Any particular game you want ported or developed for next-gen Nintendo console? Yeah, lots of games. Basically all the games that I liked from Gen 8 that they skipped. Cyberpunk 2077, Elden Ring, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Resident Evil Village, Devil May Cry 5, Rise of the Tomb Raider. Like, you know, tons of games. There's so many games they missed out on. Stylo Milo, sorry for being late. Watch the stream from the beginning. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, enjoy. Grand Theft Auto 5, yeah. I can't believe that's not even ported on the Switch. What's the music I'm playing in the background? It's from Mass Effect. Mass Effect, I think Mass Effect 1? Something from the Mass Effect trilogy. Something kind of sci-fi-y. Remo Bandito, Testosphere, Tone Darkness, some rare remakes, HG upgrades like Blast Card, Jet Force Gemini. That's what you want? Oh, I don't know if we'll get rare games. Switch remasters. AU run Switch remasters. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and 3, they could use that. Get those running in high resolution and 60 frames. Breath of the Wild 1 and Tears of the Kingdom. Astral Chain, get that running at 60 frames. All that stuff. Basically, any Nintendo first-party game that didn't run at 60 frames, I would say get that running at 60 frames on Switch 2. Like Luigi's Mansion 3, 60 frames. Anything that didn't run at 60 frames, get that at 60. Mass Effect 2, okay, yeah, I don't know the exact game. I downloaded the music. It was like a chill soundtrack from Mass Effect. Solo Nippon, what's up, buddy? You want to see a remake? HD remaster of all DKC games. Yeah, I agree. Thanks for coming out so far, guys, to the stream. Can we get it closer to 200 likes? If you haven't already hit the like button, please do so. I appreciate your support. That's the best way to support the stream. Just hitting that like button. Hello from France. What's up? Yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles X. Yeah, it looks like they might skip that for the Switch. That was like one of the earliest rumored games coming to Switch, was a port of Xenoblade Chronicles X. It might be too late though. Maybe they'll put that on Switch too. Put that thing at 4K 60, right? And you don't even have to update the graphics too much. Just put it at 4K 60 and people will be happy. Blasphemous 2, yeah, that looks like a good game. Exciting time to be a Nintendo fan. Yeah, like when you see stuff like this demo, like the Matrix demo, you know, when you see stuff like this, or when you hear about stuff like this is running on Nintendo's next gen console, then that's pretty exciting stuff. I have to admit. It's pretty exciting, right? No fellow ARMS fans? Yeah, definitely not me, buddy. I was never a fan of ARMS. Yeah, so like when the stream is over, I'm gonna go back. So if you guys come in late and you're watching this, I'm gonna go back and put timestamps of what we discussed. At least I'll try to. A lot of it was basically just Switch 2. So, but I'll put timestamps for when the like Q&A starts and when like we talked about certain things with Switch 2, because I know it was a lot of information. But I think it was really important to explain and to actually visually show you an example of how you can make a 720p image look really good at 4K. And I did that live right here on stream for you. So I think this was a really excellent, really fun stream that hope you guys enjoyed so far. Appreciate it. Have I ever seen Pantera live? Yes, I have. I saw them live once in 2000, right before they broke up. On their last album. That was an amazing amazing concert. I saw them live with Slayer in 2000. Slayer was great too. And I saw Metallica live also in the year 2000, the Summer Sanitarium tour. Another great concert. But yeah, like, you know, people talk about how graphics don't matter, but hey, you know, this is what gets people excited. It's the possibilities of the future, of what you can do with your hardware, what you can produce on screen, how immersed you can be in a game, right? Like, you know, can you experience what it feels like to play like an interactive movie, or can you like have, you know, a world that doesn't distract you with its own graphical limitations? That's why people are excited about the possibility of a Switch 2, because they want to see the next generation from Nintendo, the next big open world game for Zelda, you know, having something that looks incredible does make a huge difference. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what other YouTubers say about how, oh, you know, the Switch is good enough as it is. It's not. It's not. Definitely not now. Not at this point. It's really not. Not if you're trying to get brand new games. If the Switch was just a console to play side-scrolling indie games and that was it, yeah, it's great. You don't got to upgrade it ever again. But since obviously they're showing demos that are playing next generation graphical, you know, displays like this, it tells you something, that Nintendo is trying to go for getting everyone to play their console, not just a certain audience. If you're running games that look like that use this type of technology, that means you're trying to get everyone to play your console. It's not about just segregating people to play just one type of game. It's about getting them to play all your games. All the types of games. Know what I'm saying? So that's what gaming has always been about. It's about trying to have everyone play your console. Not just people that like side scrollers, or people that like indie games, or people that just like Mario, just like Donkey Kong. No, you want them to play everything, guys. That's what I've been preaching ever since I started YouTube. So yeah, I've never once on my channel ever said that the Switch's lack of third-party support was okay. Never. Why should I be excited about a console that doesn't get games? It's just not. That's not what I'm about. I'm old school. I'm an OG. I've been around since the beginning, right? So I played the original Nintendo. I played the Super Nintendo. I played all the consoles. There was never, ever, ever a console that Nintendo released up until the Switch, or up until the Wii and Wii U and Switch, that was simply just not getting games, because they always were the number one go-to console for every game, you see? So I think the mindset for people kind of changed over time. Oh, Nintendo never does that, never does this, never does that. They just don't know Nintendo. Nintendo has done it all. They've done everything. And for the majority of their existence, they've always been a company that has released consoles that gets all games from all companies. So yeah, I think we're heading there with a Switch 2 or Super Switch. If they're running demos that look as good as the Matrix Awakens Unreal Engine 5, then things are looking good, man. Olivia Maxwell, I still like Nintendo NX. Sounds cool. Yeah, it does. It does sound cool. I don't think we'll be seeing that again though. Yeah, GameCube was powerful for its time. Do you think we'll ever see the arcade Mario Kart? Tracks come to Switch console. Nah, I don't think so. I don't think so. How about Star Fox Venus Rising? What is that? Is that some kind of fan game? All right. But yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up, guys. Do you guys have any other questions for me before we call it a day? We've been going for about 2.5 hours almost. That's usually about how long these streams last. I wanted to make sure we got a good Q&A this time, because last time we did it, I had to cut it short because I had some kind of internet problem, so I didn't get a full Q&A in there. But yeah, I think we got a good, solid Q&A. Lots of questions got answered. Again, if you were confused by anything that I said in the stream, I'm going to be adding timestamps. You can go back and watch the technical part that I did. It was really, really in depth. I hope it, you know, made sense to you guys. It could be kind of confusing, but we had a naysayer in chat that I had to get rid of course, because he said what I said was not true, and then I showed you guys that it was true. So it was one of those things. It happens. Yeah, so please do hit the like button for me, guys. I appreciate you guys coming out. If there's no other like urgent questions that you have, we're gonna call it a day. And come back tomorrow if you're interested. Come back tomorrow. We'll be playing Starfield live here on the channel again. I'm trying out some new mods. We fixed the color. I'm trying the new neutral LUTs color mod. And it looks a lot better on PC for Starfield. So if you're interested in seeing Starfield tomorrow, come back and watch that. We'll be playing it probably for the entire day. We're having lots of fun. Again, though, thank you very much for your support on this channel. Thank you for the years of support. I've been doing this since 2010. So thank you guys. You're longtime supporters. Thank you for coming out and always enjoying the videos. Thank you for liking the videos. Thank you for you being you and you letting me be me and supporting the content that I like to make. So I really appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Take care.